we avoid eye contact when we are walking on the street. So that is something that doesn't come naturally with Finns.
It's very interesting. When I was in Finland, I just remember getting to the Helsinki airport, and it was the quietest place I've seen. Like, that was the quietest airport I've ever been in. Finns, they stood kind of far from each other. Everybody was minding their own business. Nobody was looking at each other. And then I just remember going to the supermarket, and it was the same kind of feeling. There was this guy at the cash register. He looked like he was just dying. Like he looked like he had no energy left in him. But as soon as I spoke English, he just like came to life, and he was like, "Here's your 90 cents." And he seemed so proud of just saying, "Here's your 90 cents." He was like so excited about it.
It's so true. And that is one thing that is very uniquely Finnish. And it is basically that bothering other people is not a good thing in the Finnish mindset. So we do know that it's not how all nations or all cultures work. So I think everybody must be very excited that they can break this rule when there's an international there next to you. But basically what it means is that culturally we want to give everybody their space to be in their own thoughts. This is more visible in the relationships between Finns themselves, but we do know how to switch from it when there are internationals there, because of course everybody wants to it's a different vibe to be with someone who is talkative and bubbly. And then we also, especially in the summertime, we get really much energy out of it.
Do you feel like most of the Finns, or you can only speak about yourself, do you feel like you miss a little bit of that human interaction on a day-to-day basis? Do you want people to leave you alone, or would you rather they actually talk to you?
That's a really good question. And honestly, as I'm born and raised in Finland, I don't miss anything in that sense that I would love people to say hello to me. I love just being on my own thoughts.
So you're just like, leave me alone, please.
Yeah, with my resting bitch face.
I mean, I can agree with that. Having like a small talk, a lot of times it's just, you get into the elevator here in Canada and just think like, please don't start talking to me. Like, it's not that you want to have a conversation with someone, but sometimes by the end of it, if it was like a quality conversation, then you kind of leave the elevator with a really good feeling about your day.
Yes, and that we don't experience in Finland. So we don't get that positive rush, I have to say. And that is something I have sometimes experienced abroad. And maybe that is something that we should appreciate and think about more in these encounters. But on the positive note, it is really a nice talent to be silent in communal spaces. And that, I think, gives that overall peaceful and quiet atmosphere in Finland. This is one of the kind of basic hidden rules in Finnish communications, that if you don't have anything that adds value to the conversation, you will just shut up.
Just be quiet.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about one of the hardest things to do in Finland, which is making friends. We touched upon it in the video, obviously, but I'd like to talk a little bit more about it because, for anyone that's listening to this, part of the reason they probably tuned in is because they're in Finland and they don't understand the culture and they don't know how to go about making friends.
Yes. So if you are at a Finnish workplace, I would definitely suggest to take full advantage of the coffee breaks and lunch breaks and just squeeze yourself in. You really have to be proactive in building friendships in Finland. I have relocated inside Finland back in the years, and when I, for example, came to my current hometown of Lahti, I really had to push myself towards some of the kind of acquaintances that I found at work, and thought that, okay, maybe we could click as friends. And then I was like pushing myself, really throwing myself and suggesting things to really show that I'm here to stay and I really want to get to know you, and ask a lot of questions. So you really need to be prepared to ask a ton of questions. And that is how you little by little start making that rapport.
So you, even as a Finn, had trouble making friends in Finland.
I do feel that before I had a child, that was harder for me in my 20s. But I have to say, kids are such great icebreakers. I've met a ton of wonderful friends I have now through my child. And also kind of make the most out of your school or work settings and make the most out of your hobbies. You really, if you have any passion for any kind of group activity, you should really go for it. Join a volleyball team or any kind of that kind of sports or thing that there is a group of people. That's how you really make friends easily. And one thing that is good to know that many Finnish people like to really organize their life. So when you're suggesting a kind of date or kind of coffee break together, let's say after school or work, make like a 1 week of gap for the suggested date. They might not be so spontaneous. So that's something that really stands out very easily. I would also argue to find some kind of sporting angle, because Finns love to be effective and you have only so little time in a day. So if you're able to do that, building a friendship and doing an activity, let's say running or walking or going kayaking or whatever, then they are more likely to say yes to your suggestion. Also, it's easier to do that conversation with a Finn who is a little bit of scared with your eye contact, and kind of if you suggest a coffee date as a friendly way, it still might be shocking to a fellow Finn. And you should also know that a coffee date can actually mean a proper date in the Finnish culture.